Hello everyone, it's Filthy Casual, making a video in what feels like a year, maybe? I'm here to give you my initial impressions of Frieza post-patch. Overall, I really like this patch. I really like what it did to the cast. A lot of characters feel really unique now. They have a lot of new cool tools to play with. And just to give you a preview of how I feel about it, I'm pretty happy. Alright, for starters, let's talk about the changes to his jabs. His jabs are now faster. He now finally has a 6-frame jab. And his crouching jab's faster. It's 7 frames. This is just a net buff. This is a net positive. Like, there's literally nothing to complain about here. Nothing to even debate about. This makes his stagger pressure a little bit better. Like, it gives him that extra bit of leeway to reset pressure against an opponent who's being really passive. And just put pressure on them. Try and make them flinch, try and make them do a bad vanish or a bad mash, and maybe just make them passive enough to get a throw off. Overall, like, nothing to complain about here. This is just straight up good. Alright, next change. Post-snap, Frieza will actually fall forward. I have to do it in the air to show you, though. Here we go. Alright, he'll actually fall forward now, making him just like the rest of the cast. This is a net positive again, just a straight buff. Like, it was mainly a bug fix actually, because like he shouldn't have fallen straight down in the first place. He should have always just fallen forward. So it fixes that issue he had. It was a really easy issue to work around, I find personally, but now it's just easier to actually get consistent snap-ins with him. So, yay. Alright, next change. Crouching Medium has had its hit stop lowered on the first hit, and it moves a little bit more forward when you use it. I don't think this matters that much. It might be a better challenge tool because it moves forward, but the hit stop is just to make it a little faster, I think, just to speed the game up in general, so you're not looking at the hit animation as long. Kind of neutral on this one, don't really care that much. I might try it out in games, try challenging at this range, but a lot of characters have jabs that reach at this range, so it might just get beaten out. I don't think it really matters that much, just a neat little change. Alright, next, Standing H. A lot changed with this move. Okay, let's just go through the list. Increase the duration of the first hit of the attack. Oh, that means it has more active frames, so it's a little bit more easy to poke someone with the start of this, which is pretty good because you get a decent combo off of it. You get like 3,800 if you're not in the corner, and you get 4,000 out of the corner, plus a slide knockdown, so that's really nice. It's a little more consistent. I don't think it has the gap anymore. I haven't really extensively tested for that, but when I've used it, I haven't had anybody fly through it like they used to, so I think the gap is actually gone, which is really nice. Reduce the amount of hit stop for the first hit of the attack when it is guarded. Oh, yep, less block stun. That's bad. That means his block strings are nerfed. Let me show you real quick. Enemy settings. Guard first only. Alright. Now this will not link into 2H, which means it's really hard to do a block string where you just do your stuff and then safely disengage. Like, block strings will always leave you pretty much in medium range for the opponents. Like, if you end it with this, like, you're negative and you're right in this area, so they can probably press a button and keep you from moving too much, because you will be pretty negative. So you're probably going to have to find new block strings to use. You might just end with 2M and then backdash, because 2M is only -2. Because you can't get 2H into Death Slash anymore. Like, if you start block string this jab, it's just not happening. There will always be that gap. So, what else? Reduce the knockback from the first hit of the attack. I actually don't know what that means. Reduce the knockback. Yeah, whatever. We'll figure that one out later. Enlarge the move's hitbox during startup. Yeah, it's bigger now too, so it's also much better as a poke. Like, it's really great to use just to challenge people. And as like I said before, the reward's pretty high. 4K or 3.8K if you're not cornered. So that's pretty good. Decrease delay. Decrease delay. I don't know what that means. Oh, it decreases the, I think that means it decreases the, hit stop. Because it does feel like when they block it, there's less hit stop. And I think that's just another speeding up the game thing. Projectile disappears after vanish. Ooh, that's terrible. That is really bad. That nerfs the fuck out of Sparking Frieza. He used to be able to do an empty vanish into a JM, and it would jail after rocks. Now the rocks disappear, so there's always going to be that gap. Let me show you. Oh, wait. Guard first only. Yeah. So, that's a thing. That really hurts him as an anchor. Like, it hurts his sparking in general, because you could just pop that at any point, and if you got close to them, just do that, run a mix. That is a really big nerf to his offense. Like, probably the biggest nerf he's received in this entire patch. Well, maybe... No, wait, scratch it. That's the second biggest nerf. Is there anything else? Increased time stored. That's just another thing. Increased time stored input during camera shift. I think that's just a general... When you do a smash attack, there's less camera time, speeding up the game. But overall, it's good and it's bad now. The Vanish nerf really hurts it, but it's much better as a poke. So it's kind of a lateral shift. I think it's slightly more negative than positive. Alright, next change. JM. Very controversial. A lot of people think this is really good, some people think it's really bad. I'm in the camp that thinks it's kind of bad for him. Let's go over what we get from this first. What we get is we get a faster air poke, and we get a cross-up. Well, if I can do it right, we get a cross-up. Wow, really? Alright, fourth time's the charm. Well, that was the fifth time, actually. But yeah, we get a cross-up and we get a faster air poke. The cross-up's nice. Like, it's a nice option he didn't really have. Allows him to get a meterless conversion off of a cross-up. Before, you'd have to do a JL, and then you'd have to vanish to get like any sort of damage. Now we get something meterless. And in the air, it's okay. Like, it's a decent enough poke, but it still has a lot of startup compared to a lot of JMs. The distance it covers is okay, but it's really hard to convert anything off of it. Like, as you can see at max range, I can't even connect his JS. You have to be advancing to do it, and if you're advancing, you probably want to use JL anyways, because it's just faster. And at that point, you're not using the range. You can kind of retreat with it, and try and vanish confirm, but you're still spending a lot of resources just for an air confirm there. And I don't think what we lost was worth it. And I'm going to go for what we lost right now. Alright, so what we lost was our ID JM. Right now, if we do an air dash JM, the second hit will hit, but the first hit will whiff on crouchers. The reason that's bad is because our JM was one of the fastest in the game on the first hit. Like, ID JM was about 20 frames. Like, it was really hard to react to. It was one of the best jump-in mix-ups, or jump-in tools in the game, as far as opening people up. It was almost comparable to pre-nerf Cell JM. Like, it wasn't quite that level, but it was pretty good. And now that we've lost that, it's kind of be really hard to open people up with air dash mix-up. Especially small people. Like, small characters, because their crouching hitbox is so low, we have to delay our lights really late into the air dash. Like, to the point where we can't even get a second hit off. Like, we can only do one hit of the JL. At which point, you might as well just do jump heavy, because you get more damage off that anyways. So, his air dash mix-up, much weaker now, unfortunately. Like, especially against crouching opponents. Against, like, tall opponents, it should be fine, you just ID JL, but against crouching opponents, it's kind of a struggle. So, not a fan of that. I kind of wish we had the old one back, just because of that. Alright, next change is 2H in the air. 2H in the air will now cause a sliding knockdown. As you can see. And it'll do it from pretty much anything. It'll do it regardless of whether you did a smash attack. Like, you can just do a vanish combo and get it. Or whiff on Kid Buu. Just boom, it happens, it works. This is pretty much just a net positive. Some combos we had before that used J2H would be awkward now because of this, but it's nice to have a consistent way to get people to slide knockdown in the air. This isn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted something that allowed him to extend combos in the air for free, like most people's J2Hs, and then you would just do a JH after that to get the slide knockdown. But, you know, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, I guess. Like, it's still objectively better, in my opinion, than the last one. So, thanks. Alright, next change. Death Slash. Death Slash has had its recovery reduced, and it's also had its hit stun reduced. Or block stun, I should say. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. On one hand, it's kind of another nerf to offense for Frieza, because he can't do this, then vanish in. Like, there's always going to be a gap now, no matter what. Unless they're airborne, in which case, like, you don't want to vanish on someone who's in the air because you're going to be negative. So we've pretty much just lost that completely. Unless he's in Sparking, I guess. If they're in Sparking, you can do it. Or if you're in Sparking, you can do it. It does make his zoning a little bit better. It makes it a little safer, I suppose. Because there's less recovery on it. So you're less likely to be a sitting duck if you whiff one, and if you do hit one, you're slightly more positive if they're in the air. And slightly less negative if they're on the ground. So you can, like, do this, move around, do this, like, throw a key blast, try and catch the moving. Makes his zoning a little bit better, in my opinion. Makes his offense a little bit weaker. It's not, like, the hugest nerf in the world. Like, he doesn't really need a way to vanish in that much. But it would be nice. Like, it's a nice way to get in. And I think a lot of stuff into vanish has been nerfed in this patch, so it's kind of a universal thing. I've been testing, and I think, like, they also said, another change they said is change timing at vanish. And I've been trying to see if I can react to actually hitting it and getting the vanish, but I'm still pretty inconsistent. And I don't know if that's just me, like having shitty reactions, or if it's just not reactable. If it is reactable for some people, good. If it's not, meh. Like, Death Slash on reaction is such a huge thing for him. Like, it's one of his main zoning tools, and I feel like he should be able to confirm it every time. So, middling on this one. Not super sad about it, not super thrilled. Like, zoning's better, offense weaker, which is kind of the theme for him right now. Okay, our next change. You might not survive this time. The ball is 236S. It has way less recovery. It has a bigger hitbox. And I think that's about it. Oh wait, they reduced the block stun. They reduced the projectile stun time. And the ground version is a lot faster. Like, it's way faster now. This move's kind of useful for zoning for him. You can throw it full screen, and if they try to, like, super dash over it, you can just 2H them, because you'll recover in time, definitely. It's good for challenging other zoning tools, like Key Blasts or Beams. It'll trade with Beams, it'll beat out Key Blasts. And it's a little bit safer than doing rocks against someone with a beam. So you can use this in conjunction with, like, 5S or Death Slash to try and zone the opponent. It's a lot safer to use in the air to try and bait super dashes when they're underneath you. When they're at the same height as you, it's still kind of risky to just throw out because they can super dash you. Overall, just a straight buff. Like, can't complain about this. This is really nice to have, especially the grounded version. I think the grounded version's actually pretty decent as a zoning tool right now. So yeah, thanks. Alright, next move. Death Saucer. This is pretty much the star of the show when it comes to his buffs. This move is now faster, has less recovery, and does a little more damage. So it's been buffed to high hell. Like, you can now very easily get solo disc combos in the corner. It's a little safer to throw out mid-screen. It's better for pressure because it's plus on block now. And it does more damage. So, a lot of fun creative stuff has been going out with this. Never in my wildest dreams did I think Frieza would be able to do double disc combos by himself in the corner with no resources spent. Never thought that was going to happen. It's led to a lot of fun stuff. It's really, really good. Like, I can't complain about this at all. It's just a straight up huge buff to him. I don't think it makes up for the nerfs to the rocks or to his JM, but it's really, really nice to have. It's a really cool buff, and I really, really am happy they did this. Like, thank you, Arxis. Alright, and now Warp Smash 22S. Much like its same move that's been repurposed, J2S, it has a larger hitbox, which is, I'd say that's actually kind of useful. It's good for when the opponent's mashing on you, and let's do this. Let's do Vanish. That. It's good for escapes. When the opponent's mashing on you, it's more likely to actually hit them if they're auto-comboing. It's not a huge buff, but it's a decent thing to have. It can help out in some scramble situations because it's more likely to hit. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it. Alright, next change is his Nova Strike, his level 3. This move also got a pretty huge buff. You can get safe jumps off of it now. It actually knocks down like a normal level 3, so you can pretty much do normal level 3 mix. You can do air dash, empty, low. You even have enough time to throw out disc to make them meaty. Like, this is a really big buff for him. The only thing it really lost is you can't cross up the opponent with it as easily, but, like, who cares? Like, nobody ever really used it for that anyways. It was mainly a combo ender to try and get some pressure afterwards, or a mix. And it's much better at doing that now, so thank you, Arxis. Big buff, thank you. Alright, last change I'm going over is Golden Frieza. So, as you will shortly see, Golden Frieza no longer has the meter penalty, which means you can sometimes use this and not feel terrible for doing so. I don't even know if I want to call this a buff as so much as I want to say they're fixing an obvious mistake they made. Because Golden Frieza has never been good. Like, it's not good now, it wasn't good back then before the nerf, it definitely wasn't good during the nerf. But now you can actually use it if you feel like it. Golden Frieza's biggest draw is that when you got knocked down by level 3, you could pop it to turn a 50-50 into a scramble situation and see what was going on. Offensively, it's very limited in its use because of how many defensive options the opponent has, and how it doesn't really force 50-50s unless you do a snap. Plus, it costs a lot. It costs 3 bars, and if you're not getting any guaranteed damage out of it, it's really risky to use. So, overall, it's still kind of a bad tool, but it's not absolute garbage anymore. Alright, that should conclude all the changes for Frieza. Overall, I feel like his offense is kind of weaker. Like, I know we got the discs buff, but the discs don't really lead to, like, 50-50s. They don't lead to huge, like, real mix. They lead to more pressure and RPS situations, which can work out in your favor, but because it's RPS and the very nature of that is, sometimes you're just going to lose out. So he still really stinks at forcing situations where he's just making the opponent take a mix. And the things we lost to get the buffs we got to zoning, I don't think are going to make up for... I don't think the zoning makes up for those losses. So I'd say he might be a little bit stronger, but he's definitely not top tier. Like, I'm confident in saying he's not top tier. He's still fun. Like, he is... the disc stuff alone makes him really fun to play. So I'd say if you want to pick him up, go for it. Like, if you're a competitive player, I'd say maybe consider someone else. Like, if you're really serious about winning majors. But if you're just like a casual like me, just pick him up. It's fine. Like, he's a fun character now. Like, a lot of characters are fun now. It's a really good patch for that. Except, like, Krillin players. I'm sorry. Like, if you play Krillin, like, delete the game. Like, sorry. Like, they deleted your character, so you can delete the game if you play Krillin. But if you want to play Frieza, go for it. Like, overall, I'm still really happy with this patch. Like, I don't need Frieza to be top tier to enjoy playing him. I just want him to be a fun, interesting character. Like, that's all I ever want out of him. And I think they kind of succeeded in making him one. So, gotta say, Arxis did a pretty bang-up job. Alright, thanks for watching. I might make a video in the future, or you may never see me again. Who knows? We'll find out.